Gavel. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Sorry. Laura, please call the roll.
Yes. Stu Boyd.
Just checking. Here?
Sorry. I need to look at you first. Denise Chapman. Here. Amy Doran.
Here.
Dawn Kirk.
Here.
Barbara Cruz.
Here?
Alexandra Lessa.
She'll be here, but she was coming from work.
All right. Nancy Rumpel.
Here. Thank you, Laura Lee. All right. Do we have a, yes, we do. Stu, would you lead us in the pledge? Not Stu, it's Nancy, excuse me. We changed roles.
Oh,
Nancy.
I was going to say,
Nancy?
You're on.
oh. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of
the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
and
with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Nancy. All right, we need to adopt the agenda for today, so I would take the first and a second for the adoption of the agenda for our special meeting for today, January 3rd, 2024. Boy, that feels weird to say that, 2024.
So moved.
Thank you, Dawn. And Denise, will second that. And Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman.
Aye.
Amy Doran.
Aye.
Dawn Kirk.
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessa. Nancy Rumpel.
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, we have an item on our special meeting agenda for the adoption of the 2024 mill levy certification resolution, which will then need to be moved to an action. So I'm going to turn it over to Gordon.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Schaefer, Gordon Jones, Chief Financial Officer for the district. One of the duties of the board on an annual basis is to certify the mill levy rates, calculated mill levy rates that then are provided to the counties. The county assessors take those rates and pass those on to the county treasurer. County treasurer then is responsible for preparing the property tax notices that go out to property owners within the district boundaries, collecting those taxes and then remitting them back to the district. As a reminder, Thompson operates in 3 counties, Larimer, Weld, and Boulder. There are 4 main items that make up the mill levies for the education-related portion only. There's other taxing entities besides the school district, so we're just concerned about the school district. Those are the School Finance Act, which is required by statute, mill levy overrides, which are approved by voters in the district, abatements, which is to cover any shortfalls for defaults on property tax payments, and bond redemption, which is to service the principal and interest payments that are coming due each year on the debt. This year is a little bit different because of the special session that was called in November, but based on that, each of the counties, the deadlines have been pushed back, but each of the counties have provided their certified assessed valuations excuse me, to the district. I have made those calculations, and that's what's presented in the memo, and then with a consideration of the resolution to be adopted as well. I will say that this is an annual process. When we look at the mill levy rate for this year versus last year's rate, it's about a 4.1%, just under 4.1% reduction of the mill levy rate from the prior year. So with that, I will open it to questions or any other considerations that the board may have of me.
Questions? Nancy?
I just want to make sure that we're clear on the reduction of the mill levy. The reduction of the mill levy, it's not being reduced necessarily to reduce the taxes. It's the fact that the assessed values are so high that's what's also playing a large part into why we can lower those mills.
That is part of the rationale. It's really twofold. So the maximum amount from the one item I mentioned for the School Finance Act is 27 mil assessment. That's what the state is striving for all 178 districts to reach the 27 mils. Based on previous calculations when the rates were set in the past, Thompson is one of the districts that was below that 27 mils. Legislation within the last 3 years requires districts to raise that 1 mil each year until we get to 27 mils. So we have another year and a half, so 2 years of that process. So going back to the 1990s, property tax owners within Thompson School District boundaries have been assessed a lesser amount of mill levies for the School Finance Act than the majority of the districts. It was about 30 to 140, 30 that had a lower assessment than 27 mils and 140 that were at the 27 mils. So property owners within Thompson School District have enjoyed a lesser mill levy rate from the School Finance Act perspective. But you are right, with the increase in assessed valuations, that's the denominator of the equation. If the numerator stays the same, so for example, the bonded debt service, we know what that number is. If the denominator gets larger, it does cause a reduction in that property tax rate, the tax rate, the mill levy rate. You are correct.
And to follow up with that, so even though we've lowered our mills, we're still going to be increasing our property tax revenue, depending on the estimate, somewhere around 22 million, even though because of the assessed values that have skyrocketed.
Not an increase of 22 million, but that could be the total calculation, again, based on assessed valuation, just as it's been for quite some time within school finance.
Right. I'm basing it off of the numbers in the resolution versus what we've looked at for the past year.
Previously.
Yeah, and so it's an increase of around 22 million, which is being driven by the assessed values.
That is, and it's also part of the School Finance Act portion, which is local share, which comes from the property taxes, and an increase in the state share as well, based on increase in PPR, increase in total program funding from the constitutional standpoint of the School Finance Act.
Anybody else have questions regarding this? Are we clear? Okay. I need to have a motion to move this to an action item.
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Stu, seconded by Don. Marley, please call the roll. Okay.
Stu Boyd,
Aye.
Denise Chapman.
Aye.
Amy Doran.
Aye.
Don Kirk.
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpelt.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right. Thank you. One piece done.
Does that move it to action?
No,
I'm
that moves
sorry,
it to
point
action.
of.
Excuse me, you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm sorry, you're right.
Just moved it to
All right, I need a motion now to vote on the mill levy. Let me find the correct title. The mill levy certification resolution.
Would it be appropriate for me to make a motion right now? I'd like to move that we lower the mills by 3, or to wait till the discussion.
I think we need to wait for discussion.
Okay.
I move that we certify the mills.
Okay. And I second?
I'll second.
Oh, Amy.
I think Amy
Yeah,
beat me to it.
Amy did. Marley, call the roll,
Well,
please.
so Madam President, we have, I think she wants to make a counter.
Oh, you're right, yes, before we vote. Thank you very much. Yes.
Right, there should be discussion before we
Yes,
vote.
discussion.
So as part of my discussion, I would like to move to change the mill levy rate by lower it by 3 mills, which will more closely match the rate of inflation and help reduce some of the impact on our community and our taxpayers. I think the assessed value helps alleviate that.
You said 3 mills, right?
Right, 3.
Anybody else have any further comment or information about that?
But there's a motion for discussion, there needs to be a second or discussion.
We did that.
No,
There has to be
Oh,
a
that was-
second.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
So is there
Should be a
a
motion.
second
Is
on
there a
the,
second? So the motion fails. We didn't have a second. All right. Now we can vote on the motion that was on the floor, correct?
We can, but I would recommend a discussion prior to voting. If any
Okay.
board member has a question or wants to make a statement or comment.
so what are the numbers looking like? So if we do go down 3 mills, how does that change what was up there before?
For Thompson School District, based on the assessed valuation, it's about $3.2 million per mill. So a 3 mill reduction would be approximately $9.6 million reduction in revenue.
And how does that translate to what a taxpayer within the Thompson School District would pay? How much would it ease the burden, I guess, is the question.
So this is very, very rough math, but to give you an idea, on a home valued at $500,000, the calculation per legislation that was passed in the special session, Senate Bill 23B-001, increased the deduction amount, for lack of a better term. So a $500,000, the math or the formula that would relate is a $500,000 house would have a $50,000 reduction to take that to $450,000. An assessment rate of 6.7%, which was a lowering from 6.796%, yields an assessed valuation or a taxable value of $30,150. 1 mil assigned to that would be and again, these are approximate numbers, $30 per year reduction on that $500,000 house. So a 3 mil would be a $90 reduction from property taxes due on a $500,000 valued house, approximately.
Okay. Stu?
I don't have a question, but I would like to share some information with you that I have looked for and gathered since I knew we were going to vote on this tonight. I spoke with Jody Shattuck McNally, who is one of the Larimer County Commissioners, asked her some questions. She directed me to a publication called the Larimer County Spotlight from December 14th. And I want to read you just about 3 sentences that I think are germane to what we're talking about. To alleviate the financial burden of rising property taxes on residents, the Board of County Commissioners has decided to issue a $4.5 million property tax credit for 2024 for the county's portion of your property taxes. Budget staff learned that the county would receive unanticipated state funding. Based on this new financial forecast, the board was able to balance providing this significant tax relief to property owners while still committing resources to bolster the critical disaster contingency fund. Commissioners have historically issued periodic tax credits, but this year's $4.5 million credit is unprecedented, marking the largest in the county's history. And so what I deduced from what she said and what I asked her is this: we will all receive a tax credit from Larimer County because the county is receiving additional funding from the state that makes the tax credit possible. So they're not using existing money, they're using additional money to make that happen. I also did some research with the Colorado School Finance Project, and I have just a few sentences that I'd like to read you from the Colorado School Finance Project, which I think is also germane. Discretionary mill levies, such as mill levy overrides and bond levies, represent the voters' permission for the school district to collect additional revenue. These requests have been made with specific purposes in mind for projects, construction of facilities, programs, and often for additional staffing. Reducing any mill levies is a significant policy decision that will impact stakeholders as well as the district finances. What are the implications of responding to a request to lower the mill levies? Any reduction in a school district's mill levies that are certified now will result in a reduction in the district's revenue for the 2024-25 school year. Many of the district's mill levies will also be automatically reduced this year due to the increase in assessed valuation. I only have like 3 sentences left, so thank you for indulging this. They also answered this question: what factors should a school district consider when making this decision? ESSER dollars are ending in September of 2024. This, in and of itself, will result in lost revenue source for the district. The district may also have contractual obligations that are funded with MLO or other override dollars. Contractual obligations exist in a variety of areas, which I'm not going to read. Then a question that they answered is, what about the extra revenue we'll get if the budget stabilization factor is eliminated? The governor's November 1 budget request to the General Assembly included a request to buy down or eliminate the budget stabilization factor. As we know as a board, if that were to happen, we would have additional money. But the operative term here is this is a request from the governor. It has not been approved. And then the governor's budget, which is also a request, is asking for additional education funding, but it's the General Assembly that ultimately makes decisions about school funding. And then finally, I'm not going to read you anything, I'm just going to tell you why I'm going to vote in favor of the mill levy that Mr. Jones presented. I completely understand the concern underlying the request regarding property taxes, but I believe there are many unknowns that would make this risky for the Thompson School District to do right now. Will the legislature buy down the budget stabilization factor, which means that we would get more money? The governor has requested it. We don't know. The governor is also requesting other increases to education. Will those come about? We don't know. And I guess one of the other factors that really influences me in terms of how I'm going to vote on this, at our retreat, when I asked Gordon for his opinion as our CFO about this particular measure, he said that he would not recommend reducing mill levies over which we have control because of the potential risks for our funding stream due to the loss of ESSER dollars and the many unknowns currently connected with the state budget. So as I said, based on all these facts and factors, I will vote to certify the mill levy rates as presented.
Thank you, Stu. Anybody else? I went to the session down at Casby around this very thing, and they alluded to the idea and the fact that parts of it, if we were to reduce it, it could be breaking one of the laws if we go down, and then somebody challenges it. So I will also vote to pass it. Anybody else? Nancy.
I think that because of these large increases in assessed values that people have had, over 40%, some are 33%, that's what's allowing us to still lower the mills, part of it, and collect a large amount of tax revenue. This is coming out of the bank accounts, out of the pockets of our community. I think we have an obligation to also be considerate of them. We serve them. So it's important for me that we think about this tax increase because We can reduce it temporarily so we don't have to worry about Tabor violations. This allows people, we would still get around, depending on your situation, somewhere around a 6% tax increase. Using my own numbers, right now this will be a 14%. If we had lowered it 3, it would be a 6%. For many families, it will be higher. And I think that it's important that we remember that, because these families, with this increase in their assessed home value, they can't go to Walmart and buy their groceries with it. This is part of what makes home costs unaffordable, which makes us part of the problem, and I think sometimes we forget that. So if we want to say we want a strong partnership with the community that we serve, then when we have an opportunity, we should give back to that community, because it doesn't feel like this runs two ways. If everybody's values drop, are we going to do them a favor and help them out with their housing? No, it seems like it's one way. We're asking them to dig deep, and we all know everybody's struggling right now. So I will be voting no, because I strongly believe that this was our opportunity to buy the cup of coffee for the community and do them a favor.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Don?
I think there's a couple things that really concern me about this this line of discussion. One is that because of the budget stabilization factor, there are already kids who've graduated who've never had a fully funded education. And so when we talk about that being extra money, it feels like a misnomer. I know that's how it's being discussed, but frankly, we've borrowed that from kids for 2 generations now. And then our last action item tonight is to look at future funding sources. And the bookends of those two things, I can't reconcile logically. We can't be, legitimately, we are looking at the need for increased funding for our district and the many needs that we had, and then the needs that we have are still not going to be met with what we were discussing if we decide to move forward with that. That's just a portion of it. Nearly $10 million for us is a big deal. It's a significant impact to our budget. And meanwhile, the nearly $100 that we would be giving back to the average homeowner, it's not even a cup of coffee every weekday during that time. And that's, I mean, I guess if I'm home brewing, that's like literally the only way I can make that math work. And so, like, I understand how compelling that is as an individual, and I sit here as someone who's both, right? But the idea of this collective benefit, that when all of us give that $90 and drink our coffee at home, that means that we can operate several of our schools, and still we don't have enough to meet all those needs. And so I can't take that away from a kindergartner when that's one of our mandates. Additionally, this was decided by the voters. And for me to override the will of the voters, while that is something that I've been asked to, I'm in this position and I could, I don't feel good about doing that. With this information.
Any more questions or comments? Okay, are we ready to vote? Okay, now,
Roll, I believe. Did we have a?
we did have a motion and it was seconded.
We just had a discussion with it.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman.
Aye.
Amy Doran.
Aye.
Don Kirk.
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpel.
No.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all. Gordon, you got everything you needed then?
I believe so. Thank you, Madam
Okay.
President.
I'm going to, before we move on to the actual meeting, I'm going to give us a chance to clean up our, and
You need to
adjourn the special meeting, and we'll have a few minutes to clean up before we start the next part.